The key is it should pop up live.
Yeah, it should pop up live. That should be the key.
There we
Yes.
go. And we're live now, Shemane.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am so excited. I'm in such a great mood. I can't wait to tell you all about why I'm in such a great mood. One of the reasons is because of my guest that's going to be here today. I am so excited to welcome Frank Stallone. He has 3 platinum albums, 10 gold albums, and 5 gold singles, and has acted in over 60 films and TV shows, including Walker, Texas Ranger, Hudson Hawk, Staying Alive, Fred Claus, and Tombstone. Frank has written and published over 200 songs, many of which have been in movies like, you guessed it, Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, and Rambo 2, Paradise Alley, and Over the Top. But it was Frank's 9 songs that he wrote and recorded for Staying Alive that earned him a Golden Globe nomination for Best Soundtrack and a Grammy nomination for Best Original Song. Frank, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Trump 2020 Day.
I love it. That's the other reason I'm so excited.
Yeah.
You know, Ted and I were at the rally last night in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm telling you, I've been to a lot of rock and roll concerts. The excitement was off the charts,
like
unbelievable.
3,000 people, right?
I don't even know. I mean, I don't know how they would count that many.
Like a stadium concert. Yeah.
Yes, it was unbelievable. And he was like the ever-ready battery bunny. He just kept talking. We didn't get out of there.
He's a rock star. You know, I used to play at his casinos in Atlantic City. So we've known President Trump for a long, long, long time. I mean, I played his casinos in the 1990s. And he's very good friends with my brother. So he's kind of part of our group. But he is a rock star. He's just got that it thing, you know?
Yeah, he does. And you do, and your brother does too. I want to ask you, I want to just jump right in because today is election day, and I want to talk a little bit about politics. I want to get into what's going on in your life and what you're doing as well. But tell me why, because somebody in your life reached out to me and said, you got to have Frank on your show.
Oh, Sissy.
Sissy, why are you so pro-Trump?
Well, I'm from a different era. You know, I'm from the era where you don't let the flag touch the ground. I went to military school. I got drafted in 1969. My oldest brother was in the military for 20 years. But I grew up in an era where you respected authority. You know, the police, the firemen, your teachers, your priests, whatever. So I'm really not radical. I consider myself like really normal, like a normal American that, you know, is I'm not into like the rioting, the violence. I think, you know what, if you want to do that stuff, why don't you rent a stadium and you can do it where you're not blocking traffic, breaking other people's chops, and, you know, and starting problems. If you really have a beef. But to me, breaking in the Walmarts and stuff has nothing to do with the protest. That's just thuggery.
What does breaking into, you know, a Louis Vuitton store to grab some handbags have to do with a mostly peaceful protest? Well, let me ask you this. I'm going to get right into the heart of the matter. Let's say in a perfect world that you and your brother were president and vice president. Let's not say who's going to be who's going to do what. You know,
I got an idea though. Go ahead.
Okay, well, tell me about that, but also tell me, you know, this country is so divided, Frank. How would you and your brother resolve that huge division? Because, you know, the Democrats want to come after your guns.
Yeah.
And you and I don't want that. And my husband and your brother, we don't want that to happen.
50 million other people. Yeah.
There are so many issues that we are so divided on, and we're not going to give up a gun, not one.
Of course not.
So how would you resolve that?
I would just, you know, we would, obviously you would surround yourself with the right people, but, you know, up until a few years ago, you know, Democrats and Republicans, they would cross party lines all the time, like Tip O'Neill and Reagan. They would go out and have a drink together. They might not have had the same ideals, but at least they could work things out. Listen, give a little on this, we'll take care of this. It's like any type of bartering thing. But you have Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. You just had Adam Schiff. These people are just rigid. They don't want to, they just hate this president. I don't know why. I asked somebody, I go, what has he done wrong? He's done everything he said he would do. And I think you would just have to start from right at the bottom. Say, okay, we are going to defend the Second Amendment. We're going to defend the First Amendment. The Supreme Court is going to stay the same. This is going to happen. So let's take it from there. What are we going to do? What can we improve on? But they're just rigid. And, you know, a lot of the young Democrats, Shemane, they don't want Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in there. They're young guys coming up that are kind of mutable, that can see both sides, that maybe gets things done. But when you have these people that are too old, Nancy Pelosi is too old. Dianne Feinstein, you know, Pat Leahy, they're in their 80s. They're too old. Their minds, they're too rigid. You know, Bernie Sanders is a stone cold communist. I don't care what he calls himself, but he's a communist. And, you know, when I grew up during the Cold War, you know, I mean, we saw what happened to Cuba. We saw what happened to Russia. So I have a lot of Russian friends. I have a lot of Cuban friends. And Lebanese, Armenian guys, and they're totally for Trump because they come from those type countries where it doesn't work, you know, where people are tortured. So I'd say my brother and I would bulldoze it through. We'd be like the tag team, like, you know, like the Kangaroo Brothers in wrestling, the Australians, the Kentuckians. Yeah.
I love that. So tell me, you brought up Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened in Nancy Pelosi's district with a flag that you rescued.
Oh, well, in LA, I was at the car wash.
In LA? Okay.
Yeah, I was at the car wash and I was pulling out and there's an alleyway. And all of a sudden I thought my eye were playing tricks on me. There was this big flag and it was kind of laying in like kind of a puddle, like kind of crumpled up. And I stopped. I go, wait. And I took it. And a lot of the guys working the car wash, you know, are Mexican guys. And I go, man, they go, no, that's wrong, man. I said, it is wrong. That's really wrong. I said, where I come from. So I took that flag and I didn't care who was going to come out of the house or not. I took it, rolled it up, put it in my truck, took it home, washed it. And on the 4th of July, I hung it off my balcony.
That's awesome.
Because, you know, where I'm from, being in military school in the 60s, that's part of the thing. You never let the American flag touch the ground. And it's a beautiful flag. And I believe President Trump should. It's a year in prison. You burn the flag or you desecrate or anything, it's a year
These
You do statues, it's 10 years in prison without not even a question.
kids these days don't have respect for what the founding fathers built this country on and the faith, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's funny about guns. I remember as a kid, I mean, the biggest thing in the world you could get at Christmas was like your first BB rifle. And then when you graduated, you got your first like Marlin 22. That was just part of history. I mean, every TV show was either a cop show or a cowboy show or an army show. I mean, every toy in the gun store in the 50s and 60s were cap guns or rifles or tanks. And there was no crime because it was just part of our culture. It's like, you know, when you go to Texas or Oklahoma, where I've hunted a lot in place, it's just part of their culture. You see 8-year-old kids out there in the field with their fathers, like shooting like 410s. It's just part of. There you go. It's just part of the culture, and they respect guns. So I think in schools, realistically, they should absolutely demand to have an NRA gun safety course. Same thing as you do with Fire Prevention Week. Whether you ever own a gun or you never own a gun, but at least you'll know every gun is a loaded gun. There's no such thing as an unloaded gun. More people get shot with unloaded guns. I got shot with an unloaded gun. I was in a gun store in 1986. I had my first, about 2 years after my first hit record, because I used to collect World War II stuff. So I was looking for an M1 Garand. So I'm in the store looking around. The guy owns the store, is like an older character. He looked a little dodgy. So I asked him about that pistol. I said, could I see that? And he took it up. And of course, and when he handed it to me, of course, I opened it, checked the cylinder, right? I go, yeah, it's okay. So then I was over there looking at the wall. And I heard him talking to a guy. He took the gun out of the another gun out of the camera. He goes, yeah, this thing has really good action. Boom. I'm 6 feet away. He hits my index finger in here, and all of a sudden the blood splurts all over me. And he goes, oh my God, what happened? I said, I think you shot me, asshole. So anyway, if you're not expecting to get shot, you don't feel it as much unless if someone had a gun on you. So all of a sudden I wrapped it in a towel and a guy goes, "Oh, we got to get you out." So I went to Cedars and I walked in. You know, you always have the secretary. "Yeah, can I help you?" I go, "Yeah, I've been shot, bitch." Ah! You know, when it's a gunshot, that takes high priority. And I had like 70 stitches. And I said, "Man, this is really great." My right hand, but thank God it was my left hand. But, you know, but the thing is, so I was shot by an unloaded gun. So that's what a gun safety course will do for you. Yeah. And you'll have respect for it, like you would for Fire Prevention Week or anything like that. I think all kids should know that, and they don't teach it.
That's right. They don't teach a lot of things. But, you know, Frank, I'm going to take just a quick break. I want to talk to you about that guitar that's behind you. I want to talk to you more about guns, hunting, and lots of things, movies and everything.
You got it.
Can you stick with me for 1 minute?
I sure will.
Okay. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that's near and dear and close to my heart, and that is being responsible financially. And not only us being responsible financially, but taking care of our parents and seniors. Senior Care of Michigan is one of those organizations that wants to help seniors so that they don't get taken advantage of. My own mom was taken advantage of and had to pay thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. And we tried to get her out of it, and it just didn't work. But, you know, why not let your parents be in the hands of experts? And even you, if you're my age, I'm getting real close to being a senior citizen myself. And I think it's very responsible to contact Senior Care of Michigan and let them help you so something like that never happens to you or to anyone you love. Check it out, Senior Care of Michigan. All right, Frank, now I got to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
You and I were talking before the show about how we first met. Yeah. And where was that? Refresh my memory.
It was at Caesar's Palace, and it was at a World Championship fight. It was Donnie Lalonde versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah. And as I was walking in, I saw Ted and you. And I said, "Hey, Ted, Frank Stallone." He goes, "Hey, how you doing, man?" I said, "Yeah, I just did a 21-day in Africa." He goes, "Oh, great." He goes, I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I just took this giant bear." I said, "What'd you take with you?" I think he said he did with a 44 mag or a 454 Casull or something. But we were kind of on the run, you know, because we were kind of walking in and we were kind of walking in. But, you know, I've seen Ted in 1960 when he was at the Amboy Dukes at a place called the Trauma in Philadelphia. It was a little club called the Trauma. Ask him about it, called the Trauma in Philadelphia. And it was the Amboy Dukes. And he was probably, I think Ted's like a year and a half older than me. I'm 70, so he's a little older than me. Yeah, but he was a teenager. He was like 19. He's going
to be 72.
Yeah. So he was about 19 years old. And I said, "How the hell is he playing that goddamn Birdland? They feed back. It's a short neck, but he plays them. He's been playing them for years. I can't play the damn thing. I think they're beautiful." Really? Well, because I got really big hands and the neck is short. But, you know, I was talking to Frankie Sullivan of Survivor, the lead guitar player, wrote "Eye of the Tiger." Now he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Ted plays the shit out of that guitar." I said, "Well, he's used to it. You know, he can play anything." He goes, and we were talking. I said, "Ted's a much better guitar player than people think. He does what he does, but he can do a lot of other stuff too." You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Well, I think a lot of people do think he's a really good guitar player. But how did you get into?
Much more versatile than people think.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
A lot of people don't know he plays bass as well. In fact, a lot of his recordings, he played the bass lines as well. How did you get into music? I mean, were you always like that? Did you grow up wanting to get into music? Yeah.
Yeah, I started singing at like 6 years old, and then at 15 I turned professional. That is like a year and a half exactly after the Beatles came out. So I've been professionally playing in bands in music for 55 years. So I did everything that guys did, man. I played every dump. I was underage, played, you know, every club and bar. In those days, all the air was blue from cigarette smoke. And that's just the way it was. You know, it's 1965, you know, and it's something I always wanted to do. But to let you know, there's a big documentary coming out on me on Amazon Prime called Stallone, Frank, that is. I mean, it's a huge movie. I'm serious. I'm not joking. And it took about 2 years to make. Like, I mean, Bon Jovi's in it, Hall & Oates, Guns N' Roses, my brother, Arnold, Geraldo, about 50, 60 people. and it traces my whole life, and it's called Stallone, big letters, and it goes Frank, that is. And it's just
I love it.
Yeah, we won 5 Best Picture awards, and it's not easy to get it on, but it's on Amazon Prime, so it'll be coming out in January, and we are just tickled to death about it. I mean, there's so many wonderful people in it, and it took us so long to do it that a lot of them are dead now, but what are you gonna do?
Well, good for you. You probably get people asking you questions as much as I do. Like for me, it's what's it like to be married to Ted?
Yeah.
Do you get that? What's it like?
Well, I never get asked what's like to be married to Sylvester, but yeah. Oh, every more so before. I think it's been of course, all the time goes, hey man, what's it like being Rocky's brother? I said, well, there is no Rocky, it's a character.
Yeah.
That'd be asking like Boris Karloff's daughter, hey, what's it like being Frankenstein's daughter? It's a character, It's, what? I used to be a little more defensive about it when I was younger because, again, I had my own ego. I had my own career. I mean, my brother used to carry my equipment into the clubs, so, and then you realize, okay, wait, he's got a monster career, and that's just the way it is. So you either deal with it or you become one of these bitter guys that never get out of first gear, and that's what happens. So, I mean, I've always had supreme confidence in myself as a guitar player, singer, songwriter, performer. So, I mean, it's people go, what's it feel like being in the shadow? I said, I've never felt I'm in the shadow. You think I'm in the shadow. I don't. So, but this documentary is funny, Shemane, because everyone's been telling my life story except me. So this is the first time it comes out, and it's really, I'm in it, but it's more Billy D. Williams. It's more people talking about me that know me, and I wasn't there in the interviews or anything. So it was quite interesting what people said. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Where can people watch it and when?
It looks like it's coming out in mid-January on Amazon Prime. Because, to put it in a movie theater, it's useless because unless a movie's like in 3,500 screens, it'll be there for like 3 days. But Amazon, streaming, that's where it's at. I mean, that's, look at Netflix. I mean, it's huge. Yeah, but Amazon's actually bigger. So
everybody's looking for content. There's how many times do you flip through the channels and say there's nothing on, but there's thousands of different channels, especially now with Amazon Prime and Hulu and everything else.
That's just the way it's going. I mean, it's just the way it's going. I mean, I think, didn't you and Ted have a show once? Didn't you guys have a show?
We still do. It's been on the Outdoor Channel. It's a hunting show.
Yeah.
And it's been on Outdoor Channel for almost 30 years. Is that crazy?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like you and Larry Zonka. They have the hunting shows. That's great, man. I mean,
it's not what I thought I would be doing. I like interviewing people and finding out how and why what makes them tick and their backgrounds. I love finding out information about people and then sharing it. So that's really what I wanted to do. But I learned early that if I wanted to spend time with my husband, I'm going to have to learn to hunt. So that's
it's interesting. If you ever read the book there was a famous writer, and he was a big game hunter in Africa named Robert Rourke. And Robert Rourke he wrote many books, one called Use Enough Gun, but his wife was totally 360 degrees different from him. She was a city girl. She was a dancer. She never even saw a gun in her life, but she loved him, and she traveled the world in Africa with him. And he wrote books. It was very interesting, kind of like almost your situation. She goes, well, I'm married to this guy. So, yeah. So she said, went on these great adventures with her husband.
That does sound a lot like me too, because I never hunt. I wasn't raised in a hunting family, and I didn't go to rock and roll concerts. When Ted and I met, I couldn't have told you the name of one of his songs if my life depended on it. I wasn't a big rock and roll fan, and I was a dancer, but I have to give you some background on that. I have a background in like modern dance, jazz dance, that kind of thing, and I was a cheerleader. So when I met my husband, I'll never forget, his manager said, hey, are you a dancer? And I thought, oh, I just have really good posture. And I said, yeah, I'm a dancer. Well, in the rock and roll industry, a dancer is.
Yeah. I mean, when you first saw Ted on stage, you were going, "Oh my God!" Was that when he was wearing like no shirt and all that?
Oh yeah,
Other
yeah.
stuff?
He was 180 pounds
Did
and
you go like,
lean.
"Oh my God, what did I get into?" This is
Well, here's we met in radio. I was making my way up the
yeah,
ladder in radio, and when you're in radio, your job is to talk to people.
of course, yeah.
And he filled in for the morning crew for a whole week at the radio station that I was working at. And when you talk to somebody like this for 4 hours every day,
You
you
get to
get to
know.
know a lot about him. And he didn't drink, he didn't smoke, and I thought,
Yeah.
wow, never met a guy that didn't drink or smoke. And he was a family man, and I just, he's
He's
very
very
funny
smart,
and
too.
charismatic and smart.
Right. Yeah. No, but that's the funny thing. That's what the opposites attract. That's always been the situation. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just very interesting. I mean, the business has changed so much. I was talking to my friend who manages Hall & Oates, and he says, we've lost $25 million this year. I mean, so you imagine what like these young groups are, I mean, these monstrous groups are losing in concert revenue. I mean, it's driving me crazy. I mean, I love to get out and play, but it's, I mean, I'm sure, I mean, thank God you guys have a lot of space to run around with. Can you imagine being cooped up in an apartment with two people, and one's a rock and roller, another one has her own show, does interviews? You go crazy.
Well, right now I am in a 750 square foot log cabin.
Okay, well, that's
with
pretty.
Ted and 3 dogs. So, yeah, that's why I have to get out and I have to do my own thing. You have to. It's so important. A lot of women have said, "How do you do it? You got to have your own interests."
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and I think that's what the thing is. I mean, I'm almost done with Hollywood. I mean, I really, I get asked all the time, Shemane, well, how do you stand it with those people? I said, because I pick my own friends. I go shooting at least 3-4 times a week. I shoot my bow. I mean, all the time. I mean, but I have friends. We have the same likes. I don't hang out with people that are left-wing crazy people like these other people, like some of these actors like Rob Reiner. They're crazy. I mean, they're really out of their mind. But honest to God, I think Trump is going to get the black vote. Honest to God, I think, because they're going like this. Wait a second, man. These other guys haven't done nothing. This guy's done a lot. I think he's going to get the Hispanic vote. I think he's going to get more women than you think, because people are afraid. I mean, look what happened in Wisconsin, Kenosha. Yeah. Kenosha's known for Snap-on tools. You know what I mean? I mean, but look what happened in Portland. I mean, Minnesota.
Yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand and look at the map where there are democratically run cities and states. You've got all that crime. In fact, we just got a notice in Michigan. We're part-time in Michigan, part-time in Texas, and I'm part-time in Florida because I have a little she shed there.
I might go to Florida, maybe West Palm. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing here for me anymore,
No, yeah. But we just got a notice that in Michigan, they're going to have more lockdowns. And if you don't wear a mask in public, even outdoors in public, like if you're walking down the sidewalk, you could get, now drum roll, please. Derek, can you make a drum roll for me? No?
I wish I could.
$100 fine?
I put you on the spot. Up to 6 months in jail.
That's insane. See, that's Marxism. See, this is how it starts.
And if you look at the states that have opened up and have less COVID cases, like South Dakota, they've had their state's been open. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
You would think that Florida would have more COVID cases because it's got a huge older population, but they're open back up. They're thriving.
No, you got a great governor. I see. That's the thing. We're stuck here. We got a lousy governor and a lousy mayor. New York, probably the 2 worst governors and mayor ever in history. And all those cities are going. Chicago. I remember I used to go to Chicago. It was one of the great cities. It is just like now just a bloodbath. And the thing is, what's really sad about Los Angeles, and which really is irritating, it is your God-given right to protect yourself and your family and your home. That is your God-given right to do that. Yeah. You do it here, the criminal gets off, you go to jail. It's like the people, what happened in St. Louis. They were minding their own business, having a barbecue, peaceful demonstration. You tore down the gates of a gated community, and said, we're going to come in and kill your dog, torch your house and stuff. That's a peaceful, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they got threatened with jail time.
Yeah, but the lieutenant governor pardoned him.
Yeah, thank goodness. Unbelievable. Well, Frank, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me today. How can people find you?
Well, I'm easy to find. I'm I have a very selective memory so my website is frankstallone.com. Also, I own a guitar company called Frank Stallone Guitars. We make guitars, and we'll send one to Ted. I think he'd love them. They're beautiful. They're great. And that's Frank Stallone Guitars. And also on Instagram, very hard to find me, frank.stallone. And on Facebook. So everything is because I forget stuff. All my license plate on my cars had to do with a hit record. So I don't forget. Because if someone asks you, what's your license plate? But, if you remember, okay, Far From Over, 19. All right, got it. So that's what I'm doing. But the guitar company is doing really, really, really well. I mean, they're really great guitars for a reasonable price. People can't go out, not even go spend $5,000-$6,000 for a guitar,
Yeah.
I think my first guitar was like $12 from Sears.
Well, definitely send one to Ted, and you're gonna have to get on his campfire. He does a podcast as well. So
I'd love to. Anytime.
And you have to come out and visit us in Texas and go hunting. Would you?
I know. Yeah, where are you, in Kerrville?
No, we're near Waco.
Okay. Yeah, well, Waco seems fairly safe now. So
it is. Yeah, we've got a great sheriff there, Parnell McNamara, great sheriff. And it all depends on, who's the sheriff in the town. They can override what's going on in the city and
because they won't tolerate the nonsense that's going on in the streets here. They're just not going to do it. And I'm so happy to have caught up with you after 30 years.
Yes.
And oh God, there's always some creep calling me. Get lost. I hate this stuff.
Call from out of area.
Out of area. That means spam, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but give my best to the family. And anytime Ted wants to do a show, let me know. And I'd love to meet you guys. If I'm out Texas way, we will definitely hook up and have some fun.
Awesome. Thank you again. It was such a pleasure chatting with you, and I can't wait to go hunting with you.
Trump 2020 tonight. Right.
Trump 2020.
All right. Thank you, Shemane.
Thank you.
God bless.
Stick around. We'll be right back. We've got funny pet videos you are not going to want to miss. Stay tuned.